Hello, my name is Yukiko Nakayama. I'm the host of the small apartment building. Today is September 14th, 2021. Today's we will talk about the kind of financial foundation that you need to think about when you are considering purchasing a small apartment building. Not sure, like you can see the presentation. So can you confirm that you can see the slide? Oh, okay, that's great. So welcome. When we are talking about the small apartment building, we are talking about mainly the kind of like maybe 4 unit, 5 unit, 10 unit, something very small. I'm not talking about in this sense like a 50 or 70 or 100 unit apartment building. This apartment building is very small, and then sometimes the individual can take it down. And as you can see, disclaimers, you can read through, but basically this presenting this for the educational purpose. So when you decide to make a purchase or anything, please speak with the professional or your investment advisors or tax professional when you're making investment decisions. And I'm not accountant and I'm not lawyer, so please seek those licensed individual and the professional. And my name is Yukiko Nakayama. I'm a real estate developer focusing on the residential development for 14 years. Mainly in my area is the Washington, D.C. area. And I manage acquisitions, financial analysis, project management, marketing, and financing. And prior to my real estate career, I work with KPMG Consulting and Fujitsu as a marketing consultant. And then also I worked with the various IT projects, domestic and internationally. And my spare times, I enjoy scuba diving, whitewater rafting, and swimming. And I'm originally from Japan and live with my families in Northern Virginia. And I have a real estate license in DC, Maryland, Virginia. So when we talk about the financial foundations, basically you have to have some kind of financial foundations. Like you can just say, I want to buy real estate, and then you kind of stop there because you don't have very specific plan. So when you talk about financial foundation, this is kind of planning part that you have to do. And number one is, I think you have to figure out what type of property you want to purchase. It could be like a residential, like apartment building, or it could be a commercial asset, like a mobile park, self-storage, office, retails. And then also when you think about asset class, you also want to think about the size of the asset. So if you are thinking about marriage families, of course you can think about 100 plus apartment building, or maybe 200 plus apartment building, or you can start from a duplex or maybe mid-sized apartment building, like a 15 to 20 unit apartment building. And then also price. Of course, if you decide size, the price naturally come down to, but depending on the locality, duplex in somewhere very, like a very far out, and then the duplex in Washington, D.C. downtown is completely different price. So think about what asset class you like to purchase. And after that, you think about what's the size that you like to buy. And then you think about the price, what price you want to purchase. And then step 2 is figure out how much do you need to purchase. Basically, if you decide figure out what kind of property would you like to purchase, it comes down to the down payment you need for the properties. Most of the commercial properties, currently it's 75% LTV. So that means most of the commercial lender will lend you 75% of the purchase price. So let's say the asset you like to buy is $1 million. Then the lender will give you $750,000 to purchase the asset. So you have to come out from your pocket or figure out how to raise the money. So you have to come up $250,000. And this is all depend on the asset as well. For example, if you purchase something that SBA loan can be utilized, for example, self-storage. If you purchase self-storage, you can actually use SBA loan. And then typically SBA loan, you can use right now about 10% down. If you have some expertise, and then that's the local area that property is located. So if it's 10% down, even the facility might cost $1 million. Now you need $100,000 instead of $250,000. So in that sense, it's more advantageous if you don't have money to purchase self-storage instead of as an asset class, the lender only lend you 25%. So you need to think about, these advantage and disadvantage and the asset class. If it's self-storage, what kind of, skill you need or expertise you need. And then if you think you can work with the asset class, it might be worthwhile to research, figure out buying those asset class instead of pursuing different type of the property. So step number 1 is really critical for you to do a research. So sometimes people has a very kind of focus I have to buy residential, and that's not the case. If your goal is to make money at the end, and then if you have somehow the skill, then you can actually open your mind to purchase a different asset class. So think about that and then figure out what property to purchase in the very beginning, and then figure out what type of the size, what type of the price, and then when you figure out the price, and then talk to the lenders who specialize the asset, how much do you need to purchase? For example, sometimes depending on the locality, you might actually get some grant if you are kind of buying the property in a local low income area. like maybe there's a community bank you can call on and then see they may have some program to kind of maybe make advantageous loan to you to purchase the residential in the area. So decide which asset class you like to buy and how much you need, and then talk to the lenders that, you know, what's your LTV for this asset, and then, you know, you can figure out how much do you need to raise. So let's say if you want to buy maybe like a 10-unit apartment building and it costs about $1 million, and then the lender said, I can do 75% LTV. Then you have to raise $250,000. And then your question is, how can I raise $250,000? So sometimes I think depending on where your career is, you might already had a 250,000 because you work for a long time with a good job, you save up, and then you have a 250,000. So if that's the case, you might decide to go self-funding because you said, I have a money, and then, you know, I don't want to split up the, like a profit with other people. It's not enough. Then you might decide, you know, to do the self-funding. So that's fairly straightforward. You bring, you know, 250,000, and maybe there's more closing cost and appraisal. Appraisal on those commercial assets is more expensive. So usually residential appraisal fees maybe like $300 to $500, but even like I purchased like last year another 4-unit, even like 4-unit apartment building, the appraisal cost about $2,000 or could be more. So you need to figure out how much is the appraisal, and then how much is the like a closing cost. I think most of the cost will be the transfer tax and tax related with the closing, and then the premium for the title insurance. But you need to figure out how much it is to close the properties, and then, you know, considering, okay, maybe another, 30,000, 50,000, something like that, you might need to close. So let's say like it's cost 30,000. So you need 250 plus 30,000. So you need now 280,000 to close on the properties. So let's say you don't have a money. I need to raise 280,000. So I think you can either like do what's called syndications. So the syndication is basically you kind of put the group of investor to invest with you, but you need to do the proper paperwork to kind of create those the document called PPM, and then kind of like this could happen, you might lose your principals, and then disclose every risk related with the project. And then you can kind of pitch the project to the private investor that you may know, and then ask them to invest with you. So those are the syndications, and typically done in more like 100 plus apartment building. And reason is when you start sharing those the upside and profit, it's makes sense for the bigger building, but it usually doesn't make sense for the small apartment building because the profit is smaller. And then also cost of doing all the paperwork and the legal paperwork costs a lot. So if you're considering those, then I think you might want to go for a little bit bigger apartment building than like a small 10-unit apartment building. The other things you can do is you can do just simple joint venture with some maybe one wealthy person who bring all the money and then you do all the work. So you find the deals, very good deal. For example, I'm working on the one apartment building that I think it's probably need like $300,000, maybe more or less. But if everything done correctly with the value add, it will create about $50,000 to $60,000 a year, every year after all the mortgage is paid. So if you are the ones who find the deal and put together and then do all the work, like a value add work, putting tenant, do some needed renovations, and then do all the legal inspections, find the tenant, property maintenance, and everything that you can think of to make it work, then you might propose, maybe 50-50, like so that the person who brings 300,000 will get like let's say if every year it's making 60,000, then say you can take 30,000, but I will take 30,000. I'm putting all the deals, so you can get the deals, but this is how we work. You can propose that. So those are like a simple joint venture agreement, but you have to do, like a legal way. So you typically put in the company names, typically LLC names, and you put the property in under the LLC, and then you will create operating agreement, and in there you kind of details what's your responsibility and what's the partner's responsibility, and then details how does it work, and then including if the plan didn't work but you need more money to put in, and then how much is the share, or if something happened to one partner and then they want to get out from the deals, and then how do you buy out this partner, something like that. So you have to be details in the operating agreement, and then usually created by a lawyer who knows those real estate transactions. But compared to the syndications, I believe you can create more inexpensively than a syndication document. And then you only need a few people to put it together. So if you don't have some self-funding, maybe this might be a good way to do this simple, the kind of operating agreement with the maybe financial partner or something like that. But keep in mind, when you find the deals, it's too late. So it's best to approach potential financial partners and then tell them your expertise, such as, you can find a very good deal because you're very connected in your community. And then, you can show maybe what you've done before, like you flip one house, or you did some different business, and then you know how to run the business, something to kind of establish a business relationship, so that financial partner can feel confident in you to achieve the business goal for the properties. So OPM, other people money, or self-funding, you kind of have to find which way to go. So if you don't have a money and then you don't want to do OPM, then you're still young, and then you have to kind of figure out how to make money. Like maybe you have a different side hustle, and then, or you are making a lot of money, but you have to start saving money instead of spending a lot of money, so that you can have some down payment. So I think those are the kind of like general three-way. Start with OPM, or if you already have money, then you can straight to the sales funding. Or if you don't have money, but you can start from today's to save or start making more money to purchase the properties. This is not really quick, get quick, becoming rich very quickly. Property, like a real estate investment, it's usually very slow to create a wealth, but it's kind of like a very steady way to create a wealth. So I think I see over times people really create a wealth over the years. So that's kind of step number 4. If you're not going OPM, start saving or making money. And then the other variation is the house hacking. So I don't know if you are familiar with house hacking. House hacking is basically you actually, kind of already had a house, like you purchased or you inherited or something you are living. And then either you create more rooms, or you already have a bunch of rooms, and then you are single, and then you have 5 bedrooms. So you can start renting each room by 600, 700. You have to check your local law, but sometimes if you are living in the house, you can just rent out very freely, like by room, and then you can make a lot of extra money. Or if you have like a separate basement or something, you can rent out. So that's where you can kind of, paying the house, and then make monies, or you can actually kind of keep the money and then invest in a second house, something like that. So some people do house hacking, and then this topic is heavily discussed in the Bigger Pocket as well. So you can check their forums to see what's theirs, and then there's a lot of people talking about their experience. Personally, I never done house hacking, but I know the person who did the house hack, and then it's really kind of beneficial for them to do. But I think if you have a family or children, it might be harder to pull off. But if you're single and then don't care, and then you can do the house hacking successfully, and then make good investment overall. Basically, other people paying your mortgage, and then maybe make more monies, and then buy other property or make some other investment. And then step 5, educate yourself for financial foundations. So I think when you go into the commercial real estate, there's a lot of like a word concept that you need to familiarize yourself. So I recommend, either like taking some simple class or reading book. In my case, I actually took the master in a real estate development class for 4 years. So I learned the very basic from the beginning to end. Like a first class was really foundation. So they start teaching us like each actually vocabulary, what's the cap rate, and then, what's the IRRs and, those kind of like financial word and then concept. So it's really critical to educate yourself for the, those vocabulary and then financial concept, so that you can understand and maybe you can explore different avenues. Because initially, I think like whenever I went to the those commercial conference in the beginning, when I didn't know anything, I didn't really understand what they're saying, and it was very intimidating. But now I know the concept and then vocabulary, I can really understand what they're saying and then also converse more professionally. I think it's initially intimidating, but it's pretty much very similar. Like, when you are doing single family homes, you have to learn LTV and then ARV, like after repair values, all the, things. So commercial industry has a different vocabulary and different concept. So you kind of, get to know the different vocabulary in a different industry. Initially, very intimidating, but I think you will get to know it. And then, in fact, I think maybe next month or the next month, following month, I probably do the more like a kind of financial vocabularies and the concept focus topics in maybe like October, November, so that people kind of understand the kind of concept of the commercial real estate. So that would be very beneficial. And then step number 6, take down the deal of the redeem. So after either you get to, like some OPM, other people's money, or maybe self-funding. And then number 6 is, take down the deal of the dreams. So to get to the point, if you're using OPM, you definitely have to talk to your financial partners and then see if they're interested in these deals. You can kind of ask, like, these deals, this kind of deals, if it's come up, then if you're interested in like partner with me. So you have to kind of establish the relationship, and then you start walking through with the brokers, and then definitely most of the savvy brokers will check you out financially, and then of course by the times you're taking down the deals, you are definitely talking to the lenders and then prepare for the down payment and then funding. You will walk through those paperwork. Typically, you have to submit, personal financial statement, which describe kind of your inventory of the financial asset. What do you have? Like, what's the, like cash you have in a bank, if you have a stock, what kind of stock you have, if you have a business, what's the value of the business. So you have to know your value of the business to put in those statements. And then also, if you have any other properties, you have to make a schedule of your property with all the rent schedules. And then, of course, you have a different business. You probably need to create like all that P&L and everything, so that they can kind of evaluate. So it's take really long time to prepare. So I highly recommend to engage with a commercial broker as soon as possible, and then see what kind of fit that you have with the target properties. They might say you don't have enough liquidity to purchase. Sometimes, for example, some 100+ apartment building, maybe you have $5 million loan, and then typically they ask you have to have a 10% of liquidity. That means you have to have at least 500,000 liquidity in your balance sheet. So those are the things like you need to talk with your commercial brokers, and then give whatever that your personal financial statement, and then see, they said, yeah, you can purchase this property, no problems. Or they might say, no, you don't have any money. You need to bring more partners, or you need to bring some key principle. Basically, with your credit, you cannot buy the property, but you have to bring the person who signed the loan agreement with you. So that I think, just kind of targeting really like a kind of, it's good, but you kind of have to get real with talking to mortgage brokers, and then see you can actually take it down, the properties. So those are the steps I highly recommend to do. And then I think maybe October, November timeframe, I will go down very details, kind of financial vocabulary, and then concept, and then educations. But this month's topics, financial foundation, these are the steps that you need to prepare for to take it down the deals. And if you have any questions, you can chat. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. I just put in a chat. Is anyone in process of purchasing properties. No. Okay. So I think like after COVID hit, I think the process of the closing loans take much longer. And then they kind of like, I think when I was closing, I find the deals in March 2020. So I think it's take about overall like 45 to 60 days. It was typically like about 45 days, but in DC, we have, more process that we have to do, the process called TOPA, and then which the process was kind of stopped due to the emergency order by mayor. So we kind of scrambled to find out how to kind of walk around to do. So due to those kind of change due to the COVID, we took really longer than usual. But I believe like maybe right now it's more like it's definitely take 45 days, but I think it's probably, maybe 45 days to, like 50 or 60 days, depending on the deals. But currently I'm working with one of my clients for the 4-unit apartment building. And then they're talking about maybe like, 45 to 60 days. And of course, because of the COVID, we had an addendum so that any times like some kind of impact by COVID, we have another extension for like 15 days, both sides, the sellers and then buyer, so that our interest is protected. So those are the kind of special considerations during the pandemic. Okay. So I think next week, well, like I mentioned, October, November timeframe, I will be putting up some kind of foundation for financial concept and vocabulary so that you will get more familiarized, talking to the mortgage brokers or talking even potential seller directly. You can kind of like, talk, more with more confident. So, but if you have any other request for the topics, please type in. And then we can kind of accommodate if you have any specific questions or topics. And then as you can see, I can be reached at the Yukiko at pumainvestment.com. And my number is 925-768-1770. And then I also, I think, REI USA Facebook. So please reach out and then, tell me what you're doing and then what your property is doing. And then if I can be any help, for the kind of, transactions or any questions, even like a tenant questions, because I have so many horror story about tenant interaction. So maybe, I can be help in some situations. But if you don't have any questions, I will stop here. And then any questions or topic suggestions, if you have it, please let me know. And this concludes the webinars. And then please have a nice evening. Thank you so much.